Welcome back to All This Math. This is Professor Parker. Please make sure you're subscribed to the channel. Make sure you like this video, drop a comment down below, and share this video with at least one other person. All right, so what am I doing today? I'm doing some multiplication with two-digit numbers by one-digit numbers. Doing this for my three of my nephews, Zaire, Maceo, and Zen. Hopefully they're paying attention. Hopefully they're watching the video and they locked in, with their pencil or pen and paper ready to go. And also check out who I got on my shirt. All right, this is Kwame Nkrumah Osajifo. Osajifo was his nickname, the Great Redeemer. Osajifo means the Great Redeemer. Osajifo Kwame Nkrumah, who was a brother from the Gold Coast Colony, right, which was the name of Ghana before it gained independence in 1957. At which time Kwame Nkrumah was the first president of an independent Ghana in 1957. That, however, was short-lived because there was a coup orchestrated by the British government, right? Because the Gold Coast was originally a British colony, so there was a coup orchestrated by them because they didn't want to really give up power, give up control of that land and that region. So then he ended up being, because he was a Pan-Africanist, right? Much like many other brothers on the continent at the time, and in the Caribbean and in the United States, right? He ended up going to, Ahmed Sekou Toure reached out to him. Ahmed Sekou Toure was the president of Guinea at the time. Guinea is a little further west from Ghana, right, on the near the coast, right. And he extended him the opportunity to come to Guinea and be co-presidents. Years later, Kwame Toure, right, who formerly was known as Stokely Carmichael, born in Trinidad, raised in New York, attended Howard University, human rights activist, member of SNCC, for a brief period, a member of the Black Panther Party for self-defense, right, was their political secretary, right? And also a member of the AAPRP, helped to build the AAPRP and expand it throughout the world. All right. But Osajifo Kwame Nkrumah attended Lincoln University for undergrad, his undergraduate studies, attended Lincoln University before then attended the University of Pennsylvania in West Philly and got a master's in education, actually got a master's in education, before then going to school in Great Britain and then going back to the continent and later becoming the president of independent Ghana. All right. So Kwame Nkrumah definitely also wrote several books that are very important. Do your research on Kwame Nkrumah. Do your research on his books. Read his writing. Read his work, and just familiarize yourself with these Pan-Africanist brothers, right? That were trying to make the world the world a better place, right? Um, yeah, so make sure you're familiar with Kwame Nkrumah. Kwame Nkrumah and Kwame Toure that I mentioned. Not nickname. His name was Stokely Carmichael. That was his birth name. But he changed his name to Kwame Toure because, like I said, he was a political secretary for Kwame Nkrumah and Ahmed Sekou Toure. So he took the Kwame from Kwame Nkrumah and he took the Toure from Ahmed Sekou Toure. All right, so do your research on that, on him, and also anybody else that I named. All right, so now let's get into this multiplication. 7 times 52 is our first example. 8 times 22 is our second example. And 45 times 9 is our third example. Now, I want to think about some actual applications, some real world applications of these numbers and of these equations. So 7 times 52. So we know that there are 52 weeks in a year, right? From January to December, right? And that in a year that goes from January to December, there are 52 weeks. Now, if there are 7 days in each week, we can use this equation to calculate how many days are in a year. All right, 7 times 52, right? Now, supposedly there are 365 days in a year. Let's see what happens when we do the multiplication. Now, 8 times 22. What was I thinking about when I was doing 8 times 22? 8 times 22. Let me step over here. Oh, that's what I was thinking. I forgot. So a large pizza has 8 slices. A large pizza has 8 slices, right? When you buy it, I mean, you could slice it up however you want once you get the pizza, but a large pizza has 8 slices. If you ordered 22 pizzas for like a school event, a school party, or whatever, how many slices of pizza would that be altogether? 8 slices in one pizza. You order 22 pizzas. How many slices of pizza would that be? 8 times 22, right? 45 times 9. It's recommended that we get cardiovascular exercise on a daily basis. Most doctors will say, 30 minutes a day. But what if you up it to 45, right? 45 minutes per day. And then you do the cardiovascular exercise. You do your walking, maybe do some jogging or whatever. Run up some steps. Whatever you do, right, to get your cardiovascular exercise. Maybe you walk on the treadmill at the gym or whatever, or in your basement or at your house or somewhere in your house, right? But you do that for 9 days, and we want to know how many minutes is that altogether. How many minutes is that altogether? 45 minutes in one day, and you do it for 9 days. 45 minutes in one day, you do it for 9 days. How many minutes is that altogether, right? So that's another way that these multiplication equations can represent real life situations. All right. Because again, multiplication is a tool, just like all of math. Math is a tool to answer questions about your everyday life. That's what it's about. It's not just some random, annoying, subject that you got to take in school, right? That you're supposed to be nervous about. And then like, okay, you don't want to go to the math class. You don't want to do math in school. And then once it's over, you're happy and relieved. And then you don't deal with it outside of school. Nah, math is meant to teach you how to solve problems and answer questions about real life situations. All right. I'm here to tell you that. That's what math is for. Math is your friend. Math is here to help you. Math is not here to harm you. It's not here to cause stress. It might cause a little stress because sometimes when you're learning new topics, it might be a little difficult, right? But a lot of things are difficult when you're learning them for the first time. But so why should math be any different? Why should math be the thing that, well, because it's difficult, I don't want to do it. A lot of stuff is difficult when you first start it. Video games are difficult when you first get them. You don't know how to play them at all, right? But you keep playing, and then what happens? They get easy. Then when they get easy, they get fun. All right, math's the same way. So all right, so now let's multiply these 2-digit by 1-digit numbers. Let's start with 7 times 52. Now I'm showing you how to do this without a calculator and without writing it out on paper using traditional methods like the multiplication algorithm or whatever, which is helpful. But I want you to like be able to use mental math, quick mental math. But I'm gonna show it to you. It's gonna take longer than it would normally take if you were using quick mental math in your head. All right. So look, 7 times 52. So the 2-digit number, we break it down into a number that ends in 0 and whatever is left over. All right. So that means I'm going to break 52 down into 50 plus 2. 50 plus 2. Because isn't 50 plus 2 equal to 52? Yeah. Now, why am I doing that, though? Whenever you do math, always know why you're doing what you're doing. Don't just be out here trying to just memorize steps in the process. Know why you're doing the process. You break it down into a number that ends in 0 because the math is easy. Because it's easy to do 7 times 50. You know why? Because I can pretend that 0 not even there. And then I really am just doing 7 times 5. Now, you need to have your multiplication facts memorized in order for this to be worth your time. If you don't have the multiplication facts memorized, then, you don't really save no time with doing this. All right. You need to have your multiplication facts memorized. And the best way to memorize multiplication facts is by practicing multiplication. Practicing multiplication. All right. So I'm going to break the 52 down into 50 plus 2. And then I'm going to multiply the 7 by both of these numbers. And then I'm going to add those products together to get my final product. So we call that the distributive property. In mathematics, we call that the distributive property. I'm distributing this number to both of these numbers. Distributing the 7 to the 50, I'm distributing the 7 to the 2. 7 times 50 is the same thing as saying 7 times 5 times 10, because 5 times 10 is 50, right? So 7 times 5, make sure you know your multiplication facts. 7 times 5 is 35. And then 35 times that 10 is 350, right? So this is going to become 350. And then when I distribute the 7 to the 2, that's going to become 14. So then I got 350 plus 14. 350 plus 14 is 364. 350 plus 14 is 364. So that means that now I got to ask some questions. So that means that if there's 52 weeks in a year and there's 7 days in every week, that only adds up to 364 days. But there's supposed to be 365 days in a year. So now, because we did the math, now we can ask some questions. Now we can start to thinking about, why is there a difference? Where's the difference at? Right? So now, because we did the math, we did the multiplication, now we can start thinking about why. Why is there a difference? Maybe there aren't actually exactly 7 days in every week, right? Or maybe there aren't exactly 52 weeks in a year. Maybe that's an estimation. Maybe that's an approximation, right? But because we did the math, now we can start asking questions. Now we can start trying to figure out, we can get to the bottom of this, right? Now, number 2, 8 times 22. All right, 8 times 22, 8 slices of pizza in a large pizza. How many pizzas is that? 22, right? We say 22 pizzas. How many slices would there be altogether, right? So we got 8 times 22. And then 22, we break that down. And I would break that down into 20 plus 2. You could do 30 minus 8 if you want to. You could do 30 minus 8 because that also equals 22. And 30 also ends in 0. 20 ends in 0. 30 ends in 0. Right? But I would just do 20 plus 2. That's what I'm going to do. And then I'm going to distribute the 8 to the 20 and distribute the 8 to the 2. What's 8 times 20? The same thing as 8 times 2 with a 0 on it. 8 times 2 with a 0 on it. What's 8 times 2? Know your multiplication facts. 8 times 2 is 16. 16 with a 0 on it is 160. It's 160. 16 with a 0 on it. Look at it. 160. And then distribute the 8 to the 2. We get 16. What's 160 plus 16? That's 176. That's 176 slices of pizza. 176 slices of pizza. 22 pizzas, 176 slices of pizza. You can do that in your head. All right. And it's good to just have this skill, just to be able to multiply, just figure things out, quantify. All right. And then you can answer questions and then figure out what other questions need to be asked. All right. Figure out if somebody's trying to take advantage of you. Because somebody might lie to you. Somebody might tell you, you know what? Nah, it's actually 200 slices. And you think you're getting more than what you're actually getting. And if you can't multiply, what you going to do? Right? And what if you don't have time to take out a piece of paper? You know, and what if you don't know how to do it on paper? Right? So you can be, you know, you will be taking, especially if there's money involved in a capitalist system, in a monopoly capitalist system in Western society, people get robbed and taken advantage of every day by somebody that smiles in their face and treats them very polite. Bunch of con artists, scammers all around us. And if you don't know how to do math, you will be a target. You will get scammed. So I'm doing these problems for my nephews, Zaire, Maceo, and Zen, because I don't want them to get scammed. But they need to know, y'all need to know how to multiply so you can protect yourself from getting scammed and getting taken advantage of. You don't want to get scammed or taken advantage of. So you need to know how to do arithmetic. And then eventually you need to learn algebra, geometry. Geometry helps you understand logic. It's not just about shapes. I know what people are going to say, why I need to know this? Geometry teaches you logic, teaches you how to think, teaches you how to formulate a coherent argument, right? And understand when somebody's lying to you. And understand when somebody don't know what they're talking about, which is very important. All right. Now, 45 times 9. If you do cardiovascular exercise for 45 minutes per day, and you do that for 9 days, how many minutes is that? 45 times 9. The 45 is the 2-digit number, so I'm going to break that down. I'm going to be different. I'm going to do 50 minus 5. I'm going to do 50 minus 5 instead of 40 plus 5. Let's do 50 minus 5. Why am I doing this? Just because I feel like it. No real reason. I just want to be different because I did addition here, I did addition here. I could have did 40 plus 5. I could have. But, sometimes I just, it's good to have variety. It's good to have options. So we're going to distribute the 9 to the 50. 9 times 5 is 45. So 9 times 50 is 45 with a 0 attached to it. 45 with a 0 attached to it. Looks like that. 45 with a 0 attached to it. Then 9 times negative 5 is negative 45. What's 450 minus 45? 450 minus 45, what's that going to be? 450 take away 40 is going to be 410. 410 take away 5 is going to be 405. 405. So now, I just showed you how to multiply 2-digit numbers by 1-digit numbers, right? Mentally, using mental math by breaking one of the factors down, breaking the 2-digit factor down into a number that ends in 0 and whatever's left over, and then multiplying each of those numbers by the 1-digit number, right? Using what we call the distributive property. That's what we call the distributive property. That's what that is. All right. So make sure you subscribe to the channel. Make sure you drop a comment down below and drop a question down below. If something I did doesn't make sense to you, drop a question. I might make a follow-up video just based on your question. All right. Also, share this video with at least one other person. Hopefully 2 or 3, but at least one other person. All right. And did I already say like the video? Yeah, hit the like button. You should have did that in the beginning, but hit the like video if you didn't already. All right. Peace.